Yeah, I was breaking him down, but like I said, he's still tough. And you can say he was a better shaper than I expected him to be. So he'll fight back and just do a little bit to keep me from getting stopped.
I saw you wearing the Lomachenko shirt with Bob Arum. Bob is saving his son from this ass whooping. Talk to me about that the statement you trying to make with that shirt.
Huh?
Talk to me about the statement you trying to make with that shirt.
I mean, I'm just telling it like it is, but like I said, at the end of the day, I'm a boxer. I love to box. If I can't get these fights, I can't get these fights. I'm cool with it. I'm happy. I'm making millions of dollars. My family good. I'm about to go home. My family chill out, play the game, relax a little bit, and just enjoy. I can't force these fights to happen if these guys don't want to fight me.
Shakur Stevenson got another win, another title defense this past weekend. However, ESPN was sure to show fans walking out in the last round. Now, there's a backstory behind that. The interesting thing is, of course, Top Rank, who was Shakur's promoter, has a deal with ESPN, which is why you can see his fights on ESPN or have been able to up until this past fight. They offered Shakur a deal, 5 fights, $15 million, $3 million a fight. That's a hell of a low ball for a champion and someone who's supposed to be a generational fighter like Shakur. He denied that deal. This was his last fight with Top Rank. He ain't rocking with Bob Arum no more. But everybody has a lot of criticism about Shakur and his inability to put opponents down and take them out. Even throughout this fight, you could see him in between rounds going back and forth with his grandfather, who serves as his trainer. His grandfather's telling him, like, hey, you need to do more because, again, watching the preliminary fights, O'Shea Foster was robbed. I mean, robbed in a fight against Robson Conceição, in which Conceição might have won one round, maybe 2 rounds. The fight went the distance. The WBC crowned Conceição the new champion, but he was completely robbed. So Shakur's grandfather was very worried about them having a similar situation and wanted him to go ahead and put his opponent down. He was just unable to do so. So, Dub, I got to ask you, you've seen Shakur Stevenson fight. You've seen the criticism about him running. And, his rebuttal to that is that he's the best defensive fighter, blah, 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 blah. He wants Tank. I personally don't think he's ready for Tank. But I want to hear from you, Dub. Is the criticism warranted?
Absolutely. When we think about boxing, it's an art. And the art, the way you define the art is through strategy, right? And so I think a lot of these boxers are very strategic about how they approach fights. They know coming into a fight that whether they have the possibility of putting someone on the canvas and knocking them out. Shakur probably plays it safe and say, hey, I'm going to just take it to the deep waters, take it all 12, and I'll win by decision. But to me, that's not really fun boxing for me to watch as a spectator. Mm-hmm. If you're into the art of boxing, then you can appreciate a fight going 12 rounds. And so you have the opportunity to put someone in the canvas because you're that much better than them. You have to approach the fight as such. And I just think that he had the opportunity to knock out his opponent over the weekend, and he didn't do it. And his grandfather had every right to be concerned. As you shared, the refs were a little shaky. The ref was a little shaky, and people were getting robbed on Saturday. So I think if he would have had a streamlined approach and think, hey, let me go ahead and just end this early so we can hit the showers and go turn up, have a good time, then to me that would have made a better fight. But yeah, the criticism is valid, it's warranted, and hopefully whoever his next opponent is not going to be Tank. He don't want to do that. He can go ahead and prove to us why he is ranked one of the best pound for pound boxers.
Yeah, and I would say it's more of a science than an art. It's a sweet science at that. However, I don't think Shakur ever had the opportunity to knock his opponent out. Now, again, he's fighting a guy who's never been knocked out. And I think to some extent the criticism is warranted, but some extent is not, simply because he just doesn't have that type of power, right? Even when you think about, I think a lot of people like compare him to like Floyd, like, oh, he's got the Philly shell, he's defensive, what have you, but he just doesn't have that type of power. Floyd has some power
So let me
coming
ask you a
behind him.
question, G. That has been like a recurring thing about Stevenson, right? They
Mhm.
keep saying, hey, he don't have no power, he don't got
Mhm.
anything behind that jab, his jab is weak, blah 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 blah. Right? So
Mhm.
when we have deficiencies, what do? We tend to go work on those deficiencies so they can become not necessarily shrimps, but things that are decent. And I just think when someone keeps calling this out and you're not working on it, then are you actually trying to get better?
Well, you can't teach power. That's not
But
something you can teach. Like power, in a lot of ways, is God given. You
but can't
know,
can't you build power through strength?
I don't feel like it's something that you can really. So the thing about it is, to if you don't have the God, like Tank has God given power, hands touched from God in terms of what he's able to do in the ring. Tyson had that God given power. Lennox Lewis had it. Evander Holyfield had it. There were so many guys. There's even, you got legends like Sugar Ray who had pop. Like, he didn't have that type of power like some of those guys, but he had that pop. Where again, he's so technical and hitting you at the right spot at the right time, the right angle with the right amount of force, and you feel it. I don't think you can really teach that, or I don't think it's something he can really work on, because it'll impact other abilities that he has naturally, like his speed, things like that. So it's kind of like, Dub, when you were talking to me about, we're talking about Quincy Wilson, and I was asking you like, well, okay, what can he do to get down to like running a 41? He's only 16, and you like, well, it's really not much. He's gonna peak out at some point. There's not much else he can do, and I think a lot of times with these fighters, what happens is, fighters typically start in one weight class, and as they get older and gain weight, and it's harder to keep weight off and lose their weight in training camp, they move up in divisions. We see it with every fighter. Every fighter starts at a certain weight class and eventually moves up. We saw Floyd. We saw Roy Jones, one of the first guys ever to start off as low as he did and get up to the heavyweight and win a heavyweight title. To me, one of the greatest fighters of all time, but we'll get on that in another video. Um, he stands to lose that power. To lose that speed, trying to build power that he just doesn't have. And so I think his best bet is that, like, some of these guys like Tank, maybe Tank moves up to 140. Tank's already beat champions at 140 and 147. Like, Isaac Cruz is a champion at 140. Tank already beat him. Rolly Romero had the belt before Isaac Cruz. Tank already beat him. Mario Barrios is the WBC champion at 147. Tank already knocked him out, right? So we know that Tank's already beat these guys. He could easily go up. So I think Shakur's best bet is, like, if he can hang around 135 and these guys leave, then he can unify and be the champion and stay undefeated. But I just don't think he's that type of fighter that's going to give us what people are looking for. But we still got to appreciate him for the level of elite talent that he has. And so I would say some of the criticism is warranted. No, I wouldn't say you're a pound for pound top five guy, in my opinion. Maybe top 10 at best. But you can't say you're elite like that, and you can't put these guys down, in my opinion. So that's our thoughts on it. Um, some of the I say some of the criticism is warranted. Some is a little bit too far. Cam and Mace was going crazy. Shakur's responses, which we're gonna put up here right now, was even funnier. Basically, he want to see Cam
Talking
and
shit
Mace.
about Maze.
Yeah, hey, he like, if he see them, it's on. And listen, Cam and Mace, they getting up there to be close to senior citizens. So hopefully Shakur don't risk it all and hop on them boys. But hey, man, you got to be able to take it as a professional athlete. People like us gonna talk about your performance, talk about what you're doing, and it just is what it is. So listen, we gave you our thoughts on it. Y'all let us know, is the Shakur criticism warranted? As always, give us that CLS treatment. We need that. Comment, like, subscribe. We'll be back with more from it in the arena.